Hey, one of the biggest challenges that English learners face is not knowing how to study English. Not having a proper routine that will take them from the intermediate level to the advanced level. Not knowing how to actually study English consistently and enjoy the process. Have you ever experienced this challenge? Are you experiencing this challenge right now? Well, my friend, I have good news for you. Because in today's lesson, I am going to give you a morning routine that you can follow, and it will help you speak English fluently as you follow the routine. Are you ready? Well then, I'm teacher Tiffani. Let's jump right in. Part number 1. The very first thing you need to do is write. A 5-minute writing session. Now, let me explain what this writing session is all about. You see, the first part is to write in your journal for 5 minutes. You should write about something you plan to do today. That's right, today's schedule. This is an important step. Why? Because you are warming up your brain to start operating in English. In other words, you are activating the English side of your brain in a relaxed way. Think about it. When you wake up in the morning, the very first thoughts you have normally are in your mother tongue. Maybe it's Spanish or Portuguese or Zulu or another language. But now we have to switch this to English. And you do this by first starting with a 5-minute writing session. Notice that I said 5 minutes, not 20 minutes, not 30 minutes. No, a short period of time, only 5 minutes. And it must be about your day. What are you planning to do? Because you already have an idea. Maybe you're going to work, or maybe you have to go to school, or maybe you have to take care of your children. It's time to write about that in English. So for step 1, here is how you complete it. All right. This is the main thing you have to remember. First, get your notebook and pen ready. That's right. Have your notebook and pen ready. And honestly, I'd say to have your notebook and pen right next to your bed. Maybe you have a nightstand right next to your bed. Keep your journal, your English journal, and your pen right next to you. So as soon as you wake up, you can go right to that journal. Or maybe you have devotions in the morning, right? After you have your devotion, get your journal and have your pen ready. The next thing you want to do is to set a 5-minute timer. I use my cell phone as a timer, but you can use your cell phone, your watch, or any other device. But it's important to set a 5-minute timer. Why is this important? Because you're only going to write for this 5-minute period, not longer and not shorter. So you have to write as long as the timer is going. And once it stops, you stop. The third thing to remember is, third thing to remember is, hit start and don't stop writing until the timer goes off. I just explained that. You have to keep writing for that 5-minute period. Now, in the very beginning, this is going to be challenging. It's going to feel like a long period of time, but the more you do it, the more consistent you are, the easier it will become. Trust me. 5 minutes writing about your day, what you are going to do for that day. All right. Now, I want you to remember something very important. Don't worry about making mistakes. Don't stop and erase. Instead, just keep writing. Like the movie Finding Nemo, remember, just keep swimming, just keep swimming. Let's switch it. Just keep writing, don't stop. Don't worry about mistakes. The main goal is to activate the English side of your brain. That's why we're starting with a writing exercise. It will force you to activate that side of your brain. So, activating the side of your brain that uses English is very important to start off this morning routine. All right, 5 minutes. Now let's move to part 2. You've written in your journal for 5 minutes, and now it's time to have an input session. Now, I love this, an input session. So let me explain what this is all about. You've done your 5-minute writing session. Now we have part 2, the 10-minute input session. So what you're going to do is find a YouTube video or other online video about a topic that you are interested in. Notice I didn't say an English lesson. I said a video about a topic you're interested in, making sure that they're speaking in English. You can find a video about cooking, a video about sports, a video about technology. It doesn't matter as long as they are speaking English, all right? As you watch the video, you are going to learn new words. You should write down, remember you have your journal, write down the things that you don't already know. As you're watching the video and enjoying it, if something pops up, maybe a new word or expression, write it down. This is an important step. Why? Because you are now inputting new information into your brain. Step 1, we activated your brain, right? The English side. Now, step 2, we are putting new information into your brain. In other words, you are increasing the English you will be able to use in real life conversations. Listen, this morning routine is going to help you speak English fluently if you simply follow each step. So how do you do this exactly? Let's get the steps. Here we go. Step 1 for this part, find a YouTube video about a topic that you were interested in, right? We talked about that. Next, again, get your notebook and pen ready. You have it right next to your bed still because you just finished the 5-minute writing session. And as you watch the video, again, write down 5 to 10 new expressions, words, and or sentence patterns. That's right. In a 10-minute video, where native English speakers are speaking about a topic that you're interested in, you are going to hear a lot of new words, a lot of new expressions. So I want you to write down, don't look them up, just write down the words, expressions, or patterns that you hear as you watch the video. Write them down in your journal, all right? Now, I need you to remember this. Don't worry about looking up the definitions of the words or expressions. The main goal of this part right here, the 10-minute input session, is to listen well and recognize new terms. So we activated your English side of the brain. Now we are inputting and improving your listening skills for part 2 or step 2, all right? 10 minutes. So now we have 5 minutes and 10 minutes. Only 15 minutes so far. Let's jump into part number 3. Part number 3 is all about research. A 10-minute research session. Now, this is very important. Let me explain how this works. You're going to find the definitions for all the words and expressions. This is an important step. Why? Because it will help you understand why the words and expressions were used in the video you just watched. The video was about a topic that you're interested in, so you're already glued to it, right? Maybe you watch the video on your phone. You're laying in bed and you're watching the video. But now when you go in this part to look up the words and expressions, things start making sense. That's why they used that word. That's why they used that expression in the video. So in other words, you will have a better understanding of the words and expressions that native English speakers use in real life. This step is extremely important. Remember, this morning routine is going to change your English fluency. Activating the brain to help you understand things in English. Inputting things into your brain to help you understand in English. Now, helping you actually learn the meaning so you can use them in real life. So, here are the steps once again. Here we go. Get your notebook and pen ready. 2, search for the words and expressions online. 3, write the definition and 1 example sentence for each word and expression. This is very important. You've learned the definition of each word, But now you need to see how the words are used in a sentence. You've heard it while watching the video on YouTube or whatever platform you found the video on. And now you're seeing other ways to use the word or expression in a real life situation. All right? Very important. Now, I also want you to remember something as well. Don't worry about creating your own sentences yet. Once again, don't worry about creating your own sentences just yet. You're not going to do that yet. The main goal for you is to understand how the words and expressions are used in real life. We haven't gotten to the part where you will actually use them yet. You're just understanding how other native English speakers use the word or expression in real life. Makes sense, right? Yeah, you with me? Okay, so we have part one. Again, activated the English part of your brain, 5 minutes. Part two, we input information, watching the YouTube video, 10 minutes. Part three, now we've looked up things, we've researched, and now we're moving on to part number 4 of your morning routine. Part 4, the application session. That's right. Now it's time to apply what you've learned during this morning session. So here we go. First, you're going to rewrite your journal entry using 3 to 5 of the words you just learned. Woo, this is when it gets exciting. All right. This is an important step because it will help you create triggers in your brain. In other words, you will find it easier to use the new words in real conversations because you already applied them to your daily life. Woo! I love this step. Okay, now I'm going to give you the clear steps again, but let me break this down. Think about what we've been doing so far for this morning routine. We activated the English side of your brain where you wrote about your day. You already started to organize your thoughts about your day. Then we paused and we input new information. Enjoyed it. Woo, about whatever topic you chose. Then we looked up the information. We researched. Now it's time to connect the dots, to apply what you learned in part 2 and part 3. And connect the dots by having part 1 and part 4 be connected by using part 2 and 3. Follow me. Now you're going to rewrite what you wrote in part 1 in your journal. You're going to rewrite it using the words you learned from part 2 and part 3. Here we go. Watch this now. Again, here are the steps once again. First, get your notebook and your pen ready. Review your journal entry from step 1. In step 1, you wrote in your journal, right? Review it. Read what you wrote during that 5-minute period. Choose 3 to 5 words that relate to it. Now remember, the words are going to come from the ones you wrote down in step 2 when you were watching the video, and then in step 3 when you wrote down the definitions, right, of the words and expressions. You are going to choose 3 to 5 of those words that relate to what you wrote down in step 1. Makes sense, right? You're following? Whoo, you are smart. Then, using the same context and topic, rewrite your entry using the new words. So let's say in step 1, you decided you wanted to write about a big meeting you have at work today, right? You wrote it out. I have a meeting at 10 a.m. with my boss and my coworkers. We're talking about a new project, and maybe you gave a few details. Then you watched a video that was talking about new technology. Maybe you watched a video about ChatGPT or AI and how AI is getting so popular. Then in step 3, you looked up the new words and expressions. You learned that innovative, the word innovative, something that's innovative. I'm gonna let you look that one up. Hey! Then you go to 4 and you're like, wait a minute. I can rewrite what I wrote in step 1 and say, we're having a meeting today about innovative technology because we want to use ChatGPT in our business. You're using what you learned in step 2 and 3. You're putting the pieces together. This is why this morning routine is so amazing. But I want you to remember something. Remember this. You don't have to write a longer entry. Step 4, part 4, again, 5-minute application session. It's only for 5 minutes as well. The main goal is for you to understand how to use new words to talk about your daily life. Listen closely. Your daily life. You want to speak English fluently. Part of speaking English fluently is knowing how to speak about your life using words and expressions that you hear or see people using on TV in a regular situation, in a normal situation. You hear them. This is what English fluency is all about. And this morning routine is going to take your English fluency to the next level. Now, I don't want to stop here. You see, actually, I have started something brand new. Now, I have an app, the English with Tiffani app, and the link is in the description. If you want to practice what you've been learning in this lesson, if you want to review to see if you understood everything, and I know you do, I want you to download the English with Tiffani app. Now, this is what my team and I have done. In the app, when you download the app, again, the link is in the description, it will open up and you'll hit courses and you'll see weekly English fluency lessons with teacher Tiffani. Then you'll see the YouTube lessons. That's right, YouTube lessons from my channel. You'll find this YouTube video and you'll be able to watch it through the app. But then after watching it, you can actually go back and have practice lessons. That's right. This is going to be for all of my YouTube videos moving forward. You can practice what you're learning, and then you'll be able to know for a fact that you have really understood. So again, download the English with Tiffani app. The link is in the description. And moving forward, you'll be able to practice everything that you're learning with me. That's right. Every YouTube lesson will have different practice sessions, different ways for you to make sure you've understood what I've taught you in the lesson. So download the English with Tiffani app. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. I hope you follow this routine, and I'll talk to you in the next lesson. You still there? You know what time it is. It's story time. Hey, I said it's story time. All right. Today's story is a funny one. It's something that always makes me smile. Even now, when I think about it, this happened well over 25, almost 30 years ago. So I have always been a very studious individual. I have always loved learning. I love to study, and I love helping other people. Even in the past, I loved helping other people learn new things. So when I was growing up, the teachers always knew that I loved learning and I loved to study. Now, I was a very active individual. I played sports. I loved hanging with my friends. So I felt like I was a balanced individual. I loved studying, but I also enjoyed spending time with other people. So anyways, in class, whenever our teacher would give us an assignment, she knew, this is a specific teacher, Miss Howard, she knew that I would work hard and probably finish first, right? Myself and a few other students, we'd finish first, right? Our class was very smart. So it wasn't just me. There were many of us that would finish early, and we'd kind of look at each other's work just to see if we got the same answers and check each other's answers and help each other out. So one day, our teacher gave us all an assignment, the entire class. There were about 25 of us in the classroom. And she said, finish your assignment and then sit quietly at your desk, right? So we got our assignments and we were all sitting down, working on it, and maybe we were working on a math problem. I don't remember what subject it was. We were working it out. And so I finished. Then my other friend finished. And we all started finishing the assignment. Again, we were a very smart class. So we all kind of finished the assignment, and my teacher was sitting in the back of the class at her desk. So remember, there were 25 of us. I think we were in 6th grade at the time, 6th or 8th grade at the time. And I want you to imagine you have 10, 12, 15, 20 young people, right? All around, say, 11 years old, 12 years old, that have finished their assignments, and you've told them to be quiet, but they're sitting and they're starting to get restless. We were getting restless. Now, remember, I was very studious. I was a good student. I was never disrespectful. But we all liked to talk. It's a fact. So one person looked over at me. I looked over at them. Somebody said a joke. Somebody, then another person. And then we all busted out laughing, right? We started talking and the teacher said, "Didn't I tell you guys to be quiet?" We were like, "Yes, we're sorry. She said, "No, I'm done." So she said, "Put your pencils down." We're like, uh-oh, she's mad, right? So we all got really quiet. She went to the board, and at that time, years ago, part of the punishment that children would get was to write lines, right? You have to write lines. The same thing over and over and over again. So for example, if you were talking, the teacher would say, "I will not talk when the teacher has told me not to talk." That's the sentence. And he or she, depending on who your teacher was, would say, write it 25 times, 50 times, 100 times. Now, this day, our teacher was mad. So she said, you guys have to write it 100 times. Now, she was an English teacher. She taught us many different subjects, but her expertise was in the field of English. So she knew how to use semicolons, colons, commas, everything properly. So she wrote on the entire board. It looked like a paragraph, but it was one sentence. And she told us to write it 100 times. So we're all sitting there in disbelief. And then she puts the final period. She says, "Now write 100 times. So there was a moment of silence. And I laugh now. And I know I was one of them. We were like, "Okay, let's go, y'all." And she was like, "What?" So we all started writing. And we were writing and writing and writing. We were focused. We were writing and writing. So then somebody got to the 25th sentence and yelled out, "What number are y'all on?" Somebody was like, "I'm on 23. What number are you on?" "I'm on 25. And everyone just started yelling out what number they were on. They were like, "All right, let's keep going, guys." So we kept writing. Now that I'm an adult, I know the thoughts that were going through her head. And I can chuckle now. Think about this. The children in the room, including me at that time, we were receiving a punishment to write lines. But we were having a good time doing it together, competing with each other, encouraging each other. And it got to the point where we were calling out the numbers that we were on. That she said, just stop. Put your pencils down." She realized it was useless. And we kind of chuckled. We were still writing, but then she said, "Put our pencils down." We put them down. And she said, "Okay, just stop. It's time for recess." And we all went outside for recess. Now, this story makes me laugh because we weren't bad kids, right? But we had to be punished at that moment because we were talking when we shouldn't have been talking. But we were such a close-knit class. We were all so tight. We were such close friends that even in punishment, we found a way to enjoy it together. So maybe you're a teacher, maybe you have kids. If you have a class that always kind of comes together, even when they're in trouble, don't stress, don't worry. They will be friends for life because I am still friends with my friends back at that time, and it's been about 25 or 30 years. All right, I hope you enjoyed this story, and I'll talk to you in the next lesson.